dude, I sat stunned for a good 30 minutes after. So, South Park's first regular episode in over 2 years is finally aired, and my god, dude, I sat stunned for a good 30 minutes after that thing finished. Season 27's premiere, Sermon on the Mount, is, without question, the most insane thing South Park has ever done in their entire run, and I do not think that's hyperbole. On the heels of Trump suing CBS/Paramount, Colbert getting canceled for criticizing their settlement/bribe, and Matt and Trey signing a historically massive contract with Paramount, they're basically daring the President of the United States to sue them. South Park is so back, dude. Let's get into it. And hey, if you like this breakdown, not only am I going to cover every episode of the new season, assuming there is a new season, but I have a ton of South Park episode, character, and lore breakdowns across the channel, so consider subscribing. Thanks. Okay, so besides all of the Trump/Paramount stuff, which is clearly the headline of the episode, this thing also has a ton of metatextual commentary about South Park's place in our current culture. It's referencing back to major aspects of South Park history, and is basically cleaning up lore so that they can keep Mr. Garrison in South Park. So before we dive into the genuine insanity of the diabolical maneuvers that Matt and Trey have made with Trump and Paramount, let's talk about the other aspects of the episode. A large chunk of the story focuses on Cartman lamenting the fact that woke culture has seemed to have severely diminished or died off since the last election, which is a very funny subversion of what you'd expect from Cartman, but it also highlights a very funny aspect of Cartman's character. He isn't just an awful little shithead, he's also incredibly selfish and self-aggrandizing about this fact. He likes being the awful little contrarian bigot because it makes him feel special and different from everyone else.
We all know pregnancy is challenging, but we don't talk enough about what comes after. The fourth trimester.
Genuinely so funny to make Cartman upset about NPR's funding getting cut just because he thought listening to that brand of liberal media was hilarious. You got a kick out of hearing liberals whine, it's very Cartman. But this entire aspect of the episode is obviously saying just as much about the state of South Park as it is Cartman. South Park's satire is often built around Cartman representing a lot of the most hateful, egregious views out there. But when a lot of those ideas that felt extreme have become more accepted and mainstream, how can you satirize those viewpoints in the same way? Maybe you aren't on Twitter, and if not, good for you, but let me tell you, the last couple of years there has been a huge rise in incredibly hateful people showcasing clips of Cartman's ignorant viewpoints as though the show is actually supporting those viewpoints, commenting something stupid like, "South Park is so based for this, bro," when in reality, the context is often that Cartman is taking things to a completely unacceptable extreme. Cartman is typically the butt of the joke. He's almost never portrayed as being in the right. So this entire storyline isn't just Cartman questioning his place in the culture, but Matt and Trey questioning how South Park fits in when their brand of satire is increasingly blending in with the real shit we're seeing in the world. Why does Cartman need to exist when the world is full of Cartmans? God, Cartman walking around the town sadly with the woke is dead shirt is on, too funny. I think there's actually even more metatextual commentary with his entire subplot with Butters here, but we'll get to that later. The one person Cartman counted on to keep woke alive was, of course, PC Principal, and this was another small subplot that I really enjoyed. PC Principal is revealed to have changed his name to Power Christian Principal, PC Principal for short. He is just a full-on, born-again Christian, and his aggressive frat bro attitude is preaching the word of the Lord now, which is shockingly just as funny. I found this really interesting from both a commentary and character perspective. It's kind of rad that we've had PC Principal around for so long now that we can have this huge character change be a shocking status quo shift when he initially started as this admittedly funny one-note character. Like, PC Principal introducing Jesus is not funny without the context of 8 seasons of regular PC Principal.
I'd like you all to put your hands together in welcoming Christ our Lord.
God, it's kind of crazy that he's been around for 8 seasons already. But commentary-wise, I feel like this is sort of ripping on the kinds of people that are so weak-willed that they kind of just follow the culture no matter where it goes, without any real ideals or beliefs that hold them down. Like, PC Principal could not have been a more aggressive warrior of woke, and yet here he has completely given up and is now eradicating the lines between church and state to inject Christian values into the classroom. Obviously, it's a very extreme example of a a pendulum swing, but maybe PC Principal will sort of be the embodiment of the cultural moment in the show. That might be a fun way to shake things up with him, as long as he's always an aggressive frat bro. Bringing Jesus back to South Park is also, on another metatextual level, representative of the show going back to its roots. Jesus used to be a huge character. He just lived in South Park until he died in Iraq, and the show has often sort of examined itself within each cultural moment it exists. Season 19 comes to mind as a time where South Park was really looking at all of the remnants of what the show used to be and how they exist in an increasingly PC culture, and we got some truly great episodes navigating older characters in newer narratives. Now, with this bit of a pendulum swing back, it seems like they're sort of saying, okay, we're gonna regress a little too. We'll bring back Jesus. We're gonna have some side characters say very egregious things because people are saying more egregious things. And the people of South Park are actually weirdly united in this episode, which I'd say is a pretty unique scenario since this show often highlights cultural conflict. Randy is pretty upset that Jesus is just hanging out at South Park Elementary.
I don't think Jesus is allowed to be in schools.
I also loved that the extent of Jesus being in school was mostly just him standing there as people passed by, but the entire town is pretty upset that the new president has ushered in these changes, which also leads to a lot of characters really second-guessing their own place in all of this.
Yeah, I voted for him, but all I've seen him do is arrest and sue people.
If you've been following the show for a while, you'll know that they sort of lost Garrison in the role of their Trump surrogate for his first term, and that they've been pretty clear about not really wanting to lose regular Garrison again. There's a great season 26 episode all about it, and I knew they'd do something to keep Garrison, but I kind of
Huh?
I don't know why you bothered putting this back in the fridge. There's nothing in here. The
Oh.
sauce.
I don't know.
Do you usually put spices in it, or
Huh?
this sauce? Do you usually put spices in, or just eat it right out of the can?
I usually put spices in it, but it's good either way.
Can you tell me which spices you put in and how much?
I put in pepper, Italian seasoning, garlic, and onion powder.
Okay, you said Italian seasoning, garlic, onion, and pepper?
Yep.
Okay. So be careful. If you want more sauce, I can grab that out of the fridge. No problem.
You like me?
I love you.
You think I'm homophobic?
I hope not. Though, you did say one thing once that was kind of homophobic.
I'm sorry. Whatever it is.
You said that, like, you wouldn't be fine with me sleeping with a guy, but it'd be fine if I did a girl. That's kind of homophobic. Like, that, you know,
I don't
sapphic relationships don't count.
I don't remember saying.
You said that you would be fine with me hooking up with a girl because I've never done it before. That was the reason you gave, but in general, like, that's like a thing that, like, straight guys with bi girlfriends who's like, oh yeah, it'd be so hot to watch you with another girl. Like, that's like a
I wouldn't.
stereotype. You just cry?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot my wine, motherfucker.
You can do it with a girl once, then never again.
Okay. I had a girl grind on me once.
Yeah, me too.
Are you talking about me?
Yes.
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 You don't remember who blinded on you?
I'm trying to remember if there's
I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
If the guy had done it to me, I would have been really upset. But
Yeah.
I was fine with it because it was a chick.
Hey, that's heterophobic.
Women just creep me out less. So technically, she was doing something like very sexually aggressive, but I was like, okay, you know what? I'm okay with this.
Good question. Should I buy this for you?
It's very free.
Okay.
Please do not spend $50 on a mug when I have plenty dishes. Besides, if I don't want to get really fancy, we have our Hobbit Bowl mug that I never use because I don't want to damage it.
Where is it?
I'll show you. It is.
Don't fall.
Sorry. It's up there. Yeah. It should be up there. I know where this episode is. The only spot that I can absolutely put it in. I'm sorry. I was so kind of bothered. No, I'm sorry. Stop being sorry.
I guess. Okay, fine. You have to take me to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair and buy me a new one.
Aww. Aww. But I hate Ren fairs.
Too bad.
And on your birthday too. You want me to do something nice for you on your
No.
birthday? That's so greedy.
I mean, like, Saturday's supposed to be the New York State Ren Fair, but if you want to, you can certainly take me to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair on Sunday as well.
Okay.
We can wait an extra month or two, save up some money.
I'll get that good part-time Ace Hardware money maybe. If not, I can always try to harass 7-Eleven or Pizza Hut.
Man. Get 2 part-time jobs. Work 60 hours like me.
I was hoping to find something full-time, but it's very slim pickings, I found. It's really annoying because when I was, like, doing canvassing, I had so many job offers to me. But it's like, now that, like, I really need to find a job, it's, like, nothing.
I'm sorry.
And it's, like, it's so annoying because I'm just like, okay, now's the time. Those offers would have been nice. But now it's, like, the only ones that are responding to me are other canvassing gigs. And
I will say,
stuff that wants you to have like a bachelor degree.
you only apply on Indeed.
Mostly, but I have applied like directly through when I decided I would try like fast food and stuff. Like 7-Eleven, I went on their website. Pizza Hut, I went on the website.
I would say,
Bird and Dairy, I went on the website.
I would say if there's a way to apply on the website of the company, do that instead of Indeed. You're probably
Yeah.
gonna get more likely to get a reply.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier to use Indeed.
I know.
I hate like having to refill out all the time.
I know, but it also gives you a more likely chance of getting hired and that's the goal.
Yeah. No, I have been here and there. It's time consuming. I haven't done McDonald's yet though.
Don't.
Job's a job.
First,
I can't be as bad as Vicky.
What?
Can't be as bad as Vicky, your ex-girlfriend. I bet she's grinded on you.
It can't be as bad as Vicky.
Yeah.
What about our Pizza Hut experience?
Nobody ever threw a sandwich at my head at Pizza Hut. Vicky literally, like, tried to assault me at work. So.
Well, they did try. Pizza Hut did try to take your money after that whole tip debacle.
Yeah. I mean, technically there was more financial abuse happening at Pizza Hut, but I still enjoyed Pizza Hut way more than McDonald's.
Yeah, I understand that.
People didn't, like, they were passive aggressive and catty at Pizza Hut, but at McDonald's I was literally getting screamed at, being put in the kitchen when I asked to not be put in the kitchen, and yeah, she literally threw a sandwich at my fucking head. So.
Well, apply to where you want to.
Well, I don't want to work at McDonald's. I just, you know, I want to have a job again.
I know.
I just, for somebody with my education, history, and background, I don't have a lot of options. So.
Expected that they would just ignore all of it, keep Garrison in town, and not really address the current administration. In 26 episode all about it, and I knew they'd do something to keep Garrison, but I kind of expected that they would just ignore all of it, keep Garrison in town, and not really address the current administration. In fact, last year they claimed that they were so sick of covering Trump that one of the reasons they skipped out on a new season during the election was to avoid covering him and the election in general. They were very clear about this.
So that was a fucking lie.
Okay, so I don't actually think this was a full-on lie. I do think they're sick of it, but obviously they went crazier than they ever have with the Trump stuff in this episode, which is saying a lot. And I think there's a very clear reason for that. A clear reason why they feel their hand may have been forced a little bit, and it definitely has to do with this whole Paramount debacle. For one, let's talk about the fact that Trump is Saddam Hussein now. Just portrayed the exact same way down to the relationship with Satan.
You remind me more and more of this other guy I used to date. Like, a lot.
Now, I think this is once again an example of the show sort of going back to its roots. Saddam was the main antagonist of the South Park movie. He was a huge part of the show back in the day. And here they've gone with that old school method, using real photos of Trump and giving him the flappy head treatment. Something we really haven't seen from them in years. But there is a clear reason that Matt and Trey went scorched earth on Trump in this episode. The episode not only likens Trump directly to Saddam Hussein through their own show's history, and puts him in bed with Satan, but it portrays him as an unhinged, tiny-dicked lunatic who threatens to sue literally everybody. They didn't even need to bring up the Epstein list. I mean, they did, but it seemed like kind of an afterthought. Even the style of humor here is more old-school South Park. It's much crasser and more cartoony, just a complete caricature. And yes, they are clearly making fun of Trump genuinely, but here's the thing. This is bait. They are baiting our president into responding to a cartoon. And you know he will. Matt and Trey are basically daring Trump to sue Paramount, but the context and circumstance surrounding this move make it truly diabolical, so let me give some context. If you don't know, Paramount has been poised to merge with the company Skydance for some time. However, that process has been stifled and delayed. During the previous election cycle, Paramount-owned CBS aired a 60 minutes interview with Kamala Harris that was pretty heavily edited. If you know anything about interviews, especially television interviews, they're edited, all of them. But the fact that they didn't make this clear or release the full transcript immediately led to Donald Trump suing 60 Minutes, claiming election interference for this dishonest editing. Now, realistically, Trump probably would not have won this lawsuit. However, Mysteriously, the FCC seemed to hold up the Skydance Paramount merger while this lawsuit was happening. This led to Paramount settling with Trump for $16 million in a move that looked, we'll say, politically motivated, almost like a bribe to prevent the FCC from blocking the merger. After this happened, Stephen Colbert called out his parent company, also CBS/Paramount, for the shady-looking settlement, and would you believe that a couple days later, Paramount announced The Late Show with Stephen Colbert would be canceled after their current contract ends, despite being the highest-rated late-night show on the air. Now, South Park also got swept up in this drama, and Matt and Trey were not happy about it. Basically, the delay of this merger led to major delays in the production and release of South Park, and also in the renegotiating of their streaming contract. Things got very heated. They even released this statement when the show was delayed. "This merger is a shit show and it's f***ing up South Park. We are at the studio working on new episodes and we hope the fans get to see them somehow." They basically claimed that the incoming regime from Skydance was interfering with their negotiations for their new streaming deal, and they even began the litigation process to potentially sue that incoming regime. But earlier this week, negotiations got back on track and they reached a new agreement for both a 5-year streaming contract worth $1.5 billion, as well as a new overall deal for 5 more years and 50 more episodes of South Park. These contracts basically completed the day before this episode aired. And so, less than a week after Paramount canceled Colbert for calling out their deal with Trump, Matt and Trey have signed one of the biggest deals in Hollywood history with Paramount, and their first move, literally same day, is to attack Trump on levels that Colbert could never have even conceived of. Plus, they directly called out Paramount, portraying 60 Minutes as this terrified husk of a news program that kowtows to the ego of the president every step of the way.
The townspeople claim that the president, who is a great man,
A great man.
great guy,
They basically had Jesus hushedly and directly call out Paramount and say what everyone fears, that if we've got a literal president who also throws tantrums and gets his way by suing everybody, then they probably should just throw in the towel.
If someone has the power of the presidency and also has the power to sue and take bribes, then he can do anything to anyone.
Jesus directly says that if they don't stop this, South Park is probably over. So by airing this episode, the day after signing billions of dollars worth of contracts, they've basically maneuvered Paramount into the crosshairs, fully expecting Trump to retaliate. This is, without question, the most insane thing South Park has ever done. It's one of the most insane things that has ever happened in television history, especially given the end of this episode, which features a full-on Donald Trump deepfake wandering the desert naked, ending with him exposing himself. I had no words at the end of this episode. They basically said, what is the furthest we can go to ensure that Trump will respond to this? And then they just did it. I don't even understand how this made it on the air. I am shocked that Paramount let this air. But Matt and Trey basically put every protection in place they could to make this a huge battle if it's going to go down. They made sure that those contracts got signed before the new episode dropped. They made sure there was no easy way for Paramount to just drop them if and when Trump goes on the attack. And Trump's retaliation, given that he controls the FCC, could mean further complications for the Paramount/Skydance merger. It could blow the whole thing entirely. Matt and Trey not only gave a giant middle finger to Trump, but to Paramount and Skydance, and threw a huge wrench in their massive corporate merger. And this is what fully puts the whole Cartman and Butters subplot into context. Cartman basically makes a suicide pact with Butters and says if things don't go back to normal by like Tuesday, they've got to end it all. Cartman is basically saying this might be the end of South Park. It might be over. The act of making this episode is essentially Matt and Trey's attempt, and that's exactly why the final shot of the episode is Cartman and Butters sitting in the car. Cartman, played by Trey, Butters, played by Matt, saying, if this is it, this is it.
I think I might be going.
Behold, Cecilia, Disco's new AI assistant. Hear it hum. This weekend, have a...
Yep, sweet death is about to come. I love you, man.
What a ride. Now, obviously there's a lot more to talk about and speculate about for the coming season, but that is of course only if there is a season actually coming now. It's clear that Matt and Trey are at least operating under the impression that it's possible that this is the end. There's really no other real explanation for that final line, and honestly, if that's the case, what a way to go out, right? Like, what if we are living in a world where this was the final South Park episode? Matt and Trey have long said that they expect the only way for South Park to end is for it to be forced off the air, and this is absolutely the furthest they've gone to test those limits. Knowing what Paramount just did with Colbert, knowing the lawsuits Trump has been slinging left and right, I don't know, man, this could get crazy. But in case this isn't the end, let's talk about the rest of the season and what this episode is set up. Unusually, they seem to have worked on a lot of season 27 already, which is likely a result of their studio getting dicked around by the Paramount Skydance merger. It sounds like they had produced a special for early in the year, and that special is likely getting converted into episodes for the season. But we know they have a ton already animated from the trailer that dropped a couple months ago, and we know lots about what those storylines might entail. It seems like they've planted the seeds for at least one of them here in this episode, and it also seems like a lot of the other plots could easily stem from what we've seen here. The episode showed Saddam Trump be confronted by the Prime Minister of Canada over tariffs, and the trailer showed a full-on war with Canada, literally invading the US. It seems clear that this storyline could escalate into that, but also this is a pretty fitting storyline given the history of South Park. Garrison Trump literally nuked Toronto, and of course the Canadian-American War broke out during the film Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, which also obviously heavily featured Saddam Hussein. It was interesting to see Satan again here after he had previously died and gone to heaven. I was hoping we might actually see Satan in heaven at some point, but they clearly just wanted to harken back to the South Park movie here. And I think Satan's dialogue referencing that Trump is like Saddam begs the question, are they actually going to reveal that this is Saddam Hussein in disguise, or are they going to stick with the characterization just being identical? The last we saw Saddam, he was actually trying to control Canada, so there's lots of connective tissue possibilities here. The trailer also shows French Canadians tearing down the Statue of Liberty, definitely referencing the French lawmaker who earlier this year facetiously asked the US to return the Statue of Liberty since they no longer uphold its values. There are also tons of plane crashes in the trailer, obviously referencing the disasters and air traffic control firings earlier in the year. These are all storylines that could easily stem from this new version of Trump within the show, which also kind of makes it feel like there's going to be some major serialized aspects to the season, which I think probably comes as a disappointment to some fans, given that those seasons were very hit or miss. However, the fact that so much of this season is seemingly in place already, and that they still have these next 10 weeks to adjust and fine-tune everything, it kind of has me excited about the prospect of this season being more connected and serialized. They actually have a bit more flexibility to maneuver stories around this time, whereas the obvious pitfall from like season 20 was that they did not have the time or flexibility to meaningfully adjust the story when they needed to. Matt and Trey also have a Comic-Con appearance literally the day I am releasing this video, and I think everybody is pretty eagerly awaiting what they have to say, especially after this episode, and especially if Trump responds before they go on stage, which feels very possible. Honestly, I'm probably gonna have to make a follow-up video at some point, and that might be here on the main channel, or it might be over on my more topical channel, Johnny Too Casual, but I'll be following the fallout from this episode closely for sure. Honestly, I've been covering South Park for like a decade, and nothing could have prepared me for this episode. I was shocked. Like, the maneuvering and behind-the-scenes drama feels like the most impressive Cartman schemes we've ever seen, except this shit is actually real. I really hope there's a new episode next week, and if there is, I will be covering it, but for now, we gotta wait and see how these dominoes fall. This is truly kind of unprecedented. But what did you think of this, I guess, masterclass in pettiness? How do you feel about Saddam Trump, the deepfake thing? Do you think this is gonna doom the show? It's hard to kill something you just paid $2 billion for. Let me know below in the comments, and maybe see you next week. Peace, guys.
I stay mellow watching Johnny Two Cellos. He talks cartoons, he's a really cool fellow. He keeps you posted on adult cartoons if that's what you're into.
Make Michaels your new balloon destination. Find a wide range of colors, styles, and even character design.
South Park's back. And so is Garrison and Trump. But they're no longer the same person. Instead, we got the show's fourth rendition of the president that is a drastic pivot from previous incarnations, while managing to be both a callback and one of the most unique portrayals of Trump in adult animation. The new Trump is just one of many layered decisions found in the season premiere, but the one that has captivated me the most because it cements this episode as one of the biggest you just had to be there moments in South Park history. Daring Trump to sue Paramount and have the company cancel the show only literal day after they handed Matt and Trey $1.5 billion to produce the show for 5 more years, along with a streaming deal. So let's break down South Park's new little dictator who could, and how the creators are really just provoking Trump because they're trying to give Paramount as much hell as possible as payback for the legal battle that forced the show into a 2-year hiatus, along with Paramount canceling The Colbert Show, as they clearly believe it sends a message.
You really want to end up the Colbert? Just shut up, or we're going to get canceled, you idiots!
South Park has given Donald Trump many forms over the years. The first Trump was introduced in Season 5's The Entity, as one of the investors for Garrison's new vehicle, the It Bike, a viable alternative to airline travel that's operated by the pilot getting nasty with it.
Hey, it still beats what you go through at the airports.
Trump didn't do anything remarkable in this episode. He was more or less a background character, as he flew under Matt and Trey's radar. Keep in mind, this episode aired before The Apprentice was even a thing, so I think people saw Trump as just another famous rich dude. Fast forward 14 years, and Trump is now on everyone's radar after announcing his candidacy in summer 2015. Something that shocked many people in and outside of America, as his campaign was put around his status as a successful tycoon, as opposed to a politician, portraying himself as someone who could truly speak his mind without political bias, a position that evidently spoke to a lot of voters. All of this piqued Matt and Trey's interest. They seemed to be amused that so many people could get behind something that was clearly a bad idea. However, they knew that Trump thrived off attention, and they probably didn't want to get sued. They didn't have fuck you money yet, so instead of depicting him directly in the show, they introduced the Canadian president in Season 19's Where My Country Gone that aired in the fall of 2015. Canadian president was clearly Trump in every way but his name, though he sported the Pac-Man-like head and rectangular build that all Canadians in the series have. Canadian president was elected as the country's citizens resonated with him being, and I quote, a brash asshole who spoke his mind. Or at the very least, they were amused by that. But they let the bit go too far, allowing him to get into office and changing Canada for the worse, causing many Canadians to flee to America. He even don't want to keep us out.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
You get the idea. Canadian president was Matt and Trey giving their target audience a good look in the eye and saying, don't do this. Not him. But surprise, surprise, people didn't listen. So although Canadian president was cut off at the end of this episode, the show introduced a third version of Trump, the longest running one in the show so far, by turning Mr. Garrison into a Trump stand-in. His reaction to the explosion of Canadian immigrants was already satirizing Trump's campaign, but Garrison continues to campaign with Caitlyn Jenner.
Buckle up, buckaroo.
Matt and Trey didn't expect Trump to stay in the race for as long as he did, let alone become president, so they found it more appropriate to stick Garrison in the role. Which honestly, yeah, that tracks. His character already went through a couple of eras. What's the harm in tossing Trump into the mix for a season? Oh, you mean the man actually became president? And since South Park already committed to Garrison being their Trump, the character is going to spend 4 real-life years as president in the show? Well, let that be a lesson in how not to do serialization when your show is made in a week. Garrison was no longer teaching at South Park Elementary, and it felt like he rarely appeared in the show for a couple of seasons. I remember he was the driving force of an It parody in season 21, but other than that, he was put on the back burner, though he finally returned to teaching in South Park after Trump lost the 2020 election, though we didn't get too many episodes with him, as the pandemic birthed the specials era of the show, where we had 6 episodes a year along with 2 streaming specials and a lawsuit that spanned multiple years. Once Trump geared up for re-election, the show revisited Garrison's days as president in the season 26 finale, Spring Break, where his Trump persona and love for rallying was treated as an addiction, one that's threatening his relationship with his boyfriend Rick. We like Rick. He's just a chill dude who really cares about Garrison. With the election feeling pretty up in the air when this episode was produced, it concluded on a note where Garrison and Rick just had to see how things would play out. Maybe Garrison would get re-elected and return to the White House, even if he didn't really want to. Or maybe he'll get his happy ending with Rick.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president.
It's now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened.
Well, I guess we're losing Garrison for another 4 years. But hey, maybe they'll make the most of it and give us some funny President Garrison adventures. Or maybe they'll say screw it and split up the 2 characters. prior to the premiere of Sermon on the Mount, South Park teased the return of Saddam Hussein, the former dictator of Iraq and Satan's dirtbag ex. Depicted with the typical South Park Canadian build, except his head and all his facial expressions were lifted from photos of the real deal. Saddam was one of the most memorable recurring characters in the show before falling to the wayside, save for a dramatic return in season 7, 22 whole years ago. With the show marketing the second coming of Christ, and the return of characters like Starvin Marvin in footage that may or may not have been from a scrap special, Saddam's return didn't necessarily feel out of place. But oh, did Matt and Trey have a wonderful trick up their sleeves. With Trump being re-elected back into office, everyone expected Garrison to also move back into the White House, including the citizens of South Park, extremely dissatisfied with the state of the country and the president's tyrant-like behavior. Randy rallies his neighbors to storm Garrison's household, only to discover that Garrison passed on returning to the White House. He, Rick, and this cute-ass dog are living the good life and keeping a low profile. But if Garrison's in South Park, then who's in the White House?
A dictator from the Middle East? Relax, guy.
Meet Trump 4.0, who I believe can best be described as Trump Hussein. Not only giving him the exact same voice as South Park Saddam, but animating him in the exact same fashion, with cutouts of Trump's actual head pasted onto a rectangular two-dimensional body. As if that wasn't enough, they also paired him up with the Prince of Darkness himself, Satan, making his own return to the show for the first time in 7 years after getting demolished by Man Bear Pig. This Trump even has identical catchphrases to Saddam.
Saddam Hussein? Nah, relax, buddy. I'm not telling everyone to relax. Relax, guy.
They really lean into the nostalgia factor, using Saddam's musical number from the bigger, longer, and uncut movie, I Can Change, as the backing track for these scenes, and emulating his relationship with Satan. The devil even references how similar Trump is to his former lover. There's already theories floating around that this Trump might be Saddam reincarnated, or that he's somehow possessed by the guy. But all things considered, they're likely two separate entities that behave and sound exactly the same, for no other reason than shits and giggles. Though, this is modern South Park we're talking about. They could easily make the circumstances of this Trump's existence a season-long mystery for all the binge watchers at home. This take on Trump is honestly pretty refreshing, as adult animated sitcoms usually do the same thing with the crazy hair, neon orange skin, same old impression, and the thing with the eyes. So everything about this take from both personality and characterization manages to really stand out when it's just live-action photos of Trump with South Park Saddam's personality. But as I said in the intro, going with this depiction was a layered decision. At face value, the best way to call out Trump's dictator-like tendencies is to use him as a surrogate for one of their old bits. But you have to question why they spent 10 years avoiding Trump's name, claiming they didn't want to touch the 2024 election because they had nothing else to say about him, only to go back on all of that in favor of being as on the nose as possible. What changed? Well, my friends, what we're witnessing is Matt and Trey indulging in the fine art of rage bait, attempting to get Paramount in trouble by pushing the president's buttons. For the TLDR, Warner Bros. Sued Paramount for getting less new episodes of South Park than what they were contractually obligated to receive, as Paramount pocketed a couple of episodes for themselves by turning them into specials that were exclusive for Paramount Plus. A battle that Paramount was not going to win. And speaking of losing lawsuits, Paramount also had to pay up to Trump after he sued them over a 60 Minutes interview. While all of this is happening, Paramount is trying to merge with Skydance, who apparently is going to pay Trump $20 million in advertising after the merger is done. It reads as a bribe for the merger to go through. Skydance also interfered with Paramount's negotiations with Matt and Trey as they prepared for the show to head to Paramount Plus, causing its return to get delayed by 2 weeks after already having an unconventional premiere in the summer. Things were getting so heated that Matt and Trey were preparing to sue Paramount themselves. How many L's can one corporation take? During this delay, Paramount also pulled the plug on The Colbert Show, citing ratings as the reason for its cancellation. But popular opinion says it was just a way to suck up to Trump, an opinion that South Park obviously shares, as Jesus tries to warn the town that they shouldn't cause too much of an uproar unless they want to wind up canceled.
You really want to end up like Colbert? You guys gotta stop being stupid.
Now, no matter how you feel about Colbert, I think it's easy to see why Matt and Trey would be pressed by all of this. Social commentary and current events have been their bread and butter for half of their lives at this point. If it even remotely looks like their parent company is starting to censor the voices of anyone who opposes the president, they're not going to ignore it. And from their perspective, it's obviously not the craziest conclusion to come to when, once again, the company that's about to own them already tried to interfere with their business and is planning to hand Trump tens of millions of dollars. Obviously, the South Park creators know more about all of this than us, so for them to lean into the narrative that Colbert's cancellation was to please Trump speaks volumes. Now, obviously, South Park draws in a bigger audience than late night talk shows, especially in the Big 25, but I think they still got the vibe that Skydance might try to keep certain topics off limits once the merger is complete. The kind of limitations that could kill South Park as we know it. So what do once they close a very expensive deal with Paramount? A deal that guarantees that the show will be on for another 5 years? They send a message of their own. Skydance fucked with them and got the season pushed back after their pipeline already got screwed over by the Specials and Warner lawsuit, so they're getting their lick back before more damage can be done. Calling out Trump in the most egregious way possible by comparing him directly to one of the world's most famous dictators and highlighting everything he's been scrutinized for, including his involvement in the Epstein files. If that's not crazy enough, they humiliate him with tiny dick jokes and a crazy AI bit that I don't think I can show on YouTube. Now they pissed off the guy that the parent company is sucking up to, who has already sued said parent company before, daring him to take off the boxing gloves and go after Paramount once again, and putting their own show on the line just to stress out Paramount, who just spent 7 figures on this show. Canceling it would be one of the biggest displays of wasted money that we've ever seen. I'm sure breaking that contract wouldn't be cheap, but keeping it around will only sour their relationship with Trump, putting the Skydance merger at risk. And I'm sure Matt and Trey wanted to fall through at this point, as Skydance was giving them trouble before even officially being a part of the family. Knowing how vindictive South Park as a show can get, I wouldn't be surprised if this new Trump keeps popping up throughout the season, challenging our real-life president on a weekly basis. This isn't even the first time South Park has tempted fate and begged for the sweet release of death. Season 22's slogan was literally #CancelSouthPark, which was included at the end of every episode, partially to mock social media, but also because they know they're never going to be free of the show until Comedy Central kills it. That meta commentary is explored once again in this episode through Cartman, who's questioning his place in a world where it feels like hatred, bigotry, and apathy is the norm. Cartman being a pretty clear stand-in for South Park as a TV show. That being said, I think Matt and Trey know in their heart of hearts that they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Cartman tries to take himself out alongside Butters by sleeping in the Stotch's garage with the car running, blissfully unaware that most electric cars don't release carbon monoxide, i.e., he was never in any real danger in the first place. No matter how far South Park takes it, the odds of them being cancelled are slim to none. Overall, I'm pretty happy with Trump 4.0, as his presence helps emulate the old school vibes that the recent seasons and specials have been trying to lean into by incorporating characters and elements from those early seasons. South Park has felt more and more like a celebration of the franchise as a whole since the streaming era began, so I love that we have Satan and his dynamic with Saddam back in a way that keeps things fresh, along with Garrison in it for the long haul as a regular old teacher. And with the show having a clear target to rebel against, I'm excited to see what kind of shenanigans this season we'll get into as Matt and Trey have been reinvigorated. I'm really curious to see what the response to the season premiere will be and the fallout of it all. So let's get the discourse rolling in the comments down below. How do you feel about this new take on Trump? How does it rank amongst their previous incarnations? Let me know in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going over on Twitter and Instagram at OstricFox and at Roundtable Vids. If you enjoyed this video, please sure to like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great South Park content. Thank you.
HelloFresh helped me finally get it together. Now, instead of scrolling delivery apps, I've got my meals ready to go when I am.
So the season 27 premiere of South Park just aired, and holy shit. I think it's safe to say that South Park is back. And when I say that, I don't just mean that the show is literally back. I mean the soul, the edge, the controversy. South Park is back in a way that they haven't been back in probably at least a decade. And if they hadn't made it very clear in the past, I think Matt and Trey just wanted to remind us they truly do not give a single fuck. What they did in this episode is probably the most insane middle finger I have ever seen, and I'm not even talking about what they did to Trump. Sure, they tore Trump to shreds, but not just for the sake of it. No, Making fun of Trump was a calculated play on their part to achieve their real goal, screwing Paramount as hard as they can. Like, I don't think you guys understand just how insane this actually is. I'm so excited to talk about it because if you don't know the full context of everything going on behind the scenes, by the end of this video you will, and you'll understand that this might be the most insane thing South Park has ever done, even crazier than the Muhammad and Scientology stuff. This is genuinely some next level 200 IQ supervillain shit on the part of Matt and Trey. So enough of the intro, let's just get straight into it. Personally, I'm just so happy that South Park is finally back. There's really nothing better than when one of your favorites is back and better than ever, which just so happens to be the case with today's sponsor, Raycon. Now, I've talked about Raycon's everyday earbuds before. I've been using them for close to a year at this point, but they've somehow managed to make them even better by including the one thing that they were missing: the description or the pinned comment to get 20% off of your Everyday Earbuds Classic. And of course, a huge thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video. So I'm going to start with a quick summary of the episode, and then I'll give context as to why this is so crazy, but if you want to just skip to that, feel free to do so with the chapters. The episode opens with Cartman finding out from his mother that his favorite comedy radio show, NPR, has been taken off the air by the president. Of course, this is Cartman, so calling NPR a comedy show is pretty par for the course.
It had like gay rappers from Mexico all sad because girls in Pakistan got stoned to death, and guess why they got stoned to death? Because they were raped! It was hilarious! Why would anyone cancel that?
He begins to notice that the cultural tides seem to be shifting away from woke, and he's afraid of that happening.
Woke stuff is off limits. I mean, it's like now everyone rips on the Jews and it's totally fine, huh, Kyle?
His last hope is PC Principal, the man whose entire character is literally just a representation of woke politics, but he quickly learns that he too is compromised.
Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Now, I'm not sure if this is referencing a specific event, but I know that this administration has made statements about wanting to put Christianity back into the government and schools, with some states doing things like putting the 10 Commandments in the classroom. So, of course, the way they go about showing this is by having PC Principal bring Jesus himself into the school. So Stan tells Randy this, and he's slightly concerned, so he does what every good parent would do and talks to ChatGPT about it. Back at school, Cartman is freaking out about the fact that even PC Principal isn't woke anymore, and he declares woke to be dead.
You can just stay retarded now, nobody cares. Everyone hates the Jews, everyone's fine with using gay slurs.
Now, you may be wondering, why would Cartman, of all people, care about things being less woke? You would think he would rejoice over that. Well, not exactly, because if no one is woke, Cartman has no one to piss off. Cartman doesn't actually hold any political beliefs at all. All he cares about is using social or political movements for his own enjoyment, and of course there is nothing he enjoys more than antagonizing people. So, if no one's woke anymore, he has nothing to live for. I also feel like this is kind of a meta joke about South Park itself, where Matt and Trey feel like being politically incorrect and offensive was kind of their whole thing, but now that it's seemingly the norm, it's just not the same. They're not special anymore. At the bar, the whole town is talking about the president, and we begin to see the effects of the death of woke firsthand.
I voted for him to get rid of all the woke stuff, but now that retarded faggot is just putting money in his own pockets.
So they all get riled up and decide to take matters into their own hands, forming an angry mob and heading straight to the president's front door. Except when they bust in, they find a scene they didn't expect.
Excuse me, do you mind?
So Garrison is no longer the president. He gave up on that at the end of the last season. And can I just say, thank God. Garrison has always been one of my favorite characters, and him having to play the role of Trump for so long was downright exhausting. I am so glad they found a way to remove him from that role entirely. But if Garrison isn't president, it begs the question.
Who's the retarded faggot in the White House?
We get the answer to this question alongside the return of a familiar face.
A dictator from the Middle East? Hey, relax, guy. I'm just your average Joe. Take a rest.
Now, if you're not a scholar in South Park lore like myself, you may not understand who this is, but that's why I'm here. That, my friends, is Saddam Hussein, and he was an occasionally recurring character from the early seasons of the show. The last time he made a major appearance was 22 years ago back in season 7 when he got caught pretending to be the Prime Minister of Canada. He played a major role in the South Park movie as Satan's lover and a couple of subsequent episodes in the following season. But he is back in all of his glory, this time with a fresh new look. Now, technically, we don't know if this is actually a separate character, just given the exact same voice and mannerisms as Saddam, or if it's Saddam wearing a disguise. I tend to lean towards the latter because he did exactly that in his last appearance, and there's a few lines that hint at it.
Hey, come on, you don't want me to bomb you like I did Iraq. I thought you just bombed Iran. Iraq, what the hell's the difference? Relax, guy.
But this is the point when the episode really starts to go off the rails, giving us a complete
before? How you feeling?
Tired. I'm gonna be going to bed soon.
Okay.
Why?
I was debating on if I was gonna go to bed or play video games, but if you're going to bed now, I'm going to bed now.
I'm going to bed soon.
Well, it's just both of the games that people want to play with me on. I don't know how quick it'll be, just because I've never played them before. Like Sims, I can stop playing whenever. It doesn't matter. Versus like with things like Fortnite, I don't know if they'll let you save it. I don't know. I've never played it.
Fortnite is an online multiplayer. Like, once
Yeah.
you die, like, game over. You have to go.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want to set all that up right now. It's kind of overwhelming. Like I plan on doing it because I think once I get it, it'll be fun